Hi, it's Kelsey with Shipwreck Beads, and today we are going to make a bracelet. We haven't done one of those in a while. Actually, that's not true, we have. But we're going to make a bracelet today, and we're going to use some pieces from Tiara Cast. We've got some druzy beads from Dakota Stones, and we also have a really fun component from Green Girl Studios. Oh, I just realized I forgot to put a notice up on our Facebook page that we'd be doing a video today, but we're always here every Friday at 4 o'clock. Hi Pam, thanks for joining us. So we're going to be using this really awesome pewter focal from Green Girl Studios. I absolutely love skeletons and skulls and all of that stuff, especially when you're able to pair it with some sort of girly and more feminine pieces. And anyways, this is a really fun pewter connector. And so it's kind of double-sided, so it's really great detail on both sides. So we're going to use this as the focal of our bracelet, and then we're going to put the rest of it together. So let's go ahead and angle down and get started on that. And you can see the materials that I have pulled here. They're pretty much the same materials we've been using, though. Again, like I said on Wednesday's video, I'm pretty obsessed with the stuff we brought back from Tucson. It's all really great, and I'm excited to play with it all. So, all right. A little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Hi, Rosanna, and hi, Mary. Thanks for joining me today. So I've got my 3 different sizes of druzy beads here. We're going to go through and pick out the prettiest beads on these strands because, as you can see, they're not all druzy beads are created equal. So let me find a little container that I can put these in. I should have got it ready. Well, we'll just use this one that I already have here. It's got some extra little Tiara Cast pieces. Alright, scissors, 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 scissors. There's my scissors. So you can see looking at the strand, they're not all going to be this really pretty druzy bead. There is some variation, but they all have that really nice shimmery luster finish on them. So even if you don't get one with that really pretty sparkle, you're going to find some really great beads on your strand. So, these are all now up on the website. Oh, the Green Girl it's such pretty stuff. And then when you pair it with the Dolce Vita line from Tiara Cast, you can get some really cool, that's one thing I love about the Dolce Vita line from Tiara Cast is it's so easy to mix and match with some of these smaller studios, like Green Girl Studios. It all is very complimentary. So we're going to pull out some of these druzy beads that are extra special and pretty, like these ones with the little crystals formed on them. Yeah, and the Green Girl Studios, we did bring in several of their pieces when we were down in Tucson, and so those are up on the website as well. And I will again post a link when we're finished with this video, just to so you can check those out. So we don't need too many of the 10 millimeters, so we'll put those. We'll just pull 4 of them here. We've got some 8mm ones here. Oh, that's a good one. We'll use that one. That's a good one too. So we'll pull out a few of these. And then we'll get a few of the little baby ones. Hi Kathy, hi Arlene. Welcome today. I hope your Friday is treating you well. We're going through a couple of strands of druzy beads to find some pretty ones for the bracelet we'll be making today. The smaller ones don't have as many like inclusions or little crystally parts in them, so we're just going to pull a few, and if we use them, we use them. If we don't, we don't. Hi! Who's logged on from Shipwreck and watching? Oh, it's Beth. Hi! Okay, so we're going to start by taking our Green Girl Studio piece. Oh no! Oh, that's the worst. Kathy, that's terrible. I've done that actually in the store with a tray of beads, and that's definitely no fun. So, okay, we're going to start by taking our Green Girl Studio piece, and we're going to curve it. Yeah, I don't know why it does that sometimes. It's so weird. They do kind of look like blueberries, but you definitely don't want to eat these. But yeah, they're really cool. Okay, so we're gonna start by taking our bracelet and we're gonna bend it into a curve to fit our bracelet better. So one thing I noticed, you got to be very careful because it is pewter, so you can bend, or you can damage it, but it should bend pretty easy because pewter is a soft metal. So we're going to take our bracelet bending plier. That's one of these. It's got a curved jaw here, so we're going to put, and you can see it's kind of fat, so we're going to put our connector into the tool and we're going to just really lightly press because we don't want to mess up our skeleton. So we're just going along and rounding that out. And you can kind of see his face got a little flattened, but it's still okay. It's still going to be, it still looks good. And you can't really tell too much, just a little bit that it got squished. And you can see a little bit on the raised parts here, it got a little flattened. So be careful, just really gently go ahead and do this and bend that out real quick. So now what we're going to do, we're going to attach some beading wire to each side of the bracelet. And now normally I would leave it attached to the spool, but we're going to take it, or we're going to take it off the spool. And so I've got some crimp beads here. Now my crimp beads are copper because I couldn't find my silver ones, but I have silver crimp covers that we're going to put over them, so you're not going to actually see the crimps when we're finished. And so I've got some 4mm silver crimp covers here. So we'll use those. So we're going to start by stringing on a crimp bead. And so the beading wire I'm using today is Beadalon 49 strand, 0.018 size beading wire. Actually, I'm going to put my thing back on. Hi, Deb. Hi, Kat. So good to see everyone here today. Okay, so now what I want to do is, because I don't want to have the silver bead or the silver crimp cover right next to the silver component, I'm going to put on one of my 6mm druzy beads. And then I'm going to go through my component. There's a hole at either end. See one there and one there. And I'm going to go back through this bead. And now we're going to crimp it. So you can see what the first bead that's going to be next to the component is going to be the blue druzy bead. Just because I like the look of that, to break up sort of that silver. So now we need our crimp bead pliers. So here's our crimp bead pliers. You can see it's got two openings. One looks like an eyeball and one looks like lips. We're going to use the lips one first. So we're going to give, and so actually one little story I've heard people call this is you want to give it a kiss and a hug. So we're going to use this lip-shaped opening first. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that that our strands are lined up parallel before we crimp. Hi Tammy, welcome. And then we're going to take that lip-shaped opening and we're going to give our crimp bead a kiss. So now you see a little crescent shape, and you should have, if you've done it right, you've got your one string coming out one side of the crescent, one coming out the other, and now we're going to give our crimp bead a hug. So we're going to use that very front eyeball rounded shape opening, and we're going to turn our crimp bead 90 degrees, and we're going to pinch it again so that crescent shape like this is going to fold over on itself like that. And now I'm going to just go around a couple different angles, make sure that's nice and tight on there. And now you don't really need to like crank down on it super hard. You don't want to break your crimp bead. You just need to give it a little pressure and get that on there. And now we're going to cover it with a crimp cover. like so. So we've got our first bead on there. And now we're gonna add another little bead here before we trim off our cord. So now we're gonna trim off the excess tail here. All right, so that's the first part of the bracelet. So now we need to decide on our design. So I've got these little round beads. Well, let's stick them on the strand and see what we're working with. So I've got some little rondelle spacers, and all of the components I'm using are Tiara cast, except for this is a Green Girl Studios component. So let's see where we're at with that. So that's about halfway. What is the material? They're quartz druzy beads. So they're gemstone and they're coated. So they've got a really pretty luster coat on them. And then since they're druzy beads, some of the beads you'll get on the strand will have this really pretty crystal part to it. And so these are from Dakota Stones, and you can find those on our website. And I will post a link to the supply list when we're finished. So where I need my, what did I do with it? I had a bead stopper here at one point. Well, that's fun. Oh, here we go. Here it is. So we're gonna put our bead stopper on this side because I'm not sure with the exact order, so I want to go ahead and do my other side so that we can test our length. You can do a bracelet like this when you're using a focal several different ways. And hold on, I'll show you. Oh wait. So you can use the focal like this, where it's your centerpiece and you've got beads coming off either side. Or you can take your focal and do something similar to this, where you've got a jump ring and you can use a lobster claw, and then you have just one strand of beads. So it's a little easier to measure when you're doing just one long strand versus having a beaded section come off either side. So it kind of depends on how you want it to look. And yeah, so that's one way to do it too, is you can take your bar piece and attach a jump ring and then use a lobster claw as a connector. We're going to use a toggle clasp today. I think we're probably going to use this round one, but I also grabbed this rectangle one too. But I think this one's going to end up being a little bit longer than I want. So I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to do this one. So again, we're going to start by putting on our crimp, and then we've got a 6mm bead. Put it through our component. And again, I'm putting the bead right up here so that way we've got the blue bead next to the component instead of the silver crimp cover. So I just wanted to have that color there instead. Okay, so we've got our crimp bead all ready to go. And now what I'm trying to do is even up the size of my loop here on either side. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our crimp bead pliers again, and we're going to give our crimp bead a kiss and a hug. Put on our crimp cover here. And we're going to do another 6mm bead. Okay. So now we add 8 and the spacer. And which one do we like? We like this one. Then now we need another 8mm one. I'm going to use this one instead, I think. I love picking through strands of gemstones and picking out, you know, the very best, coolest ones, because they're not all created equal. Some of the beads are going to be prettier than the others. They're all gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you got to be a little picky. Alright, so we're going to test the length, and I think this is going to end up being a little too big. Yeah, see, that's way bigger than it needs to be. So what I'm going to do, I think, is switch out those for try a smaller bead on the end here. And now we'll try the length on this one. That still, I think, is going to be a little large. So let's go ahead and take it down a little bit more, because we need to make sure we've left enough room for our toggle. So that's going to probably take up about an inch. Still a little on the big side. Oh, no, don't fall off. It's definitely trickier to bead on either side like this as opposed to doing just a straight up see, I think what I'm going to do is actually take off this 6mm bead here instead of. Alright. Uh-oh. Dropping beads. It's an occupational hazard. Okay, is that perfect? Yeah, it's hard, especially when you're working with the focal, you know, to try and get that, you know, happy medium of the size. It can definitely take some playing around to get it all to line up. But I think after this one, hopefully, it should be just fine. Alright, so let's see how we're working at here. Okay, so that's should be good, I think. So we'll go ahead and finish this up. So what we're going to do, and actually, no, we'll do it like that. Okay. So for this very last bead, I also added a little baby bead cap there because they're just too cute. So this time around, I'm just going to string straight through the clasp. I'm not going to worry about adding that bead like I did in the front part of the bracelet. Go through this first bead too. Okay. So now's like the moment of truth. You want to make sure and get it nice and snug, but not too tight, because you want the beads to still be able to be flexible. And now we're going to do our crimping. Trim that. Add our crimp cover. I love adding the crimp covers because they just make it look that much more finished and professional. Whenever I do beading, I always put on a crimp cover. Alright, so there's one side. Finished up really nicely there, and now we're going to finish up this other side. First we need to add one of these little baby bead caps over here. And now we'll add our crimp bead on the other end of our toggle. So you want to pull your beading cord snug, but you want your clasp to still be able to move freely in there. You don't want it, you want it to be able to be a loop and not creased or bent in any way. Oh, I forgot to go through this bead here. This is not a vital step, but it's just the way I like to finish up my pieces. And I want to make sure that's going to be able to move flexibly, not be too snug. And then we're going to give our crimp bead a kiss and then a hug. I'll trim this guy here. And crimp covers. Oh, no. Oh, we're just going to snip you off then all the way. All right. Add a crimp cover. Oh, we're just about finished. All right, and so that finishes up our bracelet. Let's try it on. Hopefully it'll fit. I think it will. All right, it's a little large, could definitely play around with that design a little bit, but I think overall it looks really nice. It's always hard to judge how much space that clasp is going to add. So you can see. But how nice does that Green Girl Studios piece look with the tiara cast stuff here? It just really, really complements those smaller boutique lines really well with the finished jewelry. So I really like how that turned out. Good times, good times. And with that, let's angle back up. Oh, not quite enough. All right, so thanks for joining me today. Again, we just made this cute little skeleton bracelet. From Green Girl Studios, Dakota Stones, and we do ship to Canada. Thank you, Deb. Yeah, Trish, we do ship to Canada. We offer several different international shipping options, and they're all based on the weight of your order, so depending on how much your order weighs will determine how much your ship cost is. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to email our order department at orders@shipwreckbeads.com, and they'll be able to get you the information you're looking for. So that should help out a little bit, Trish. But yes, we ship all over the world, everywhere. There's a few countries we don't ship to, but for the most part we ship everywhere people want to buy beads. So yeah, there you go. There is our project for today. Thank you for joining me. Next week, I think we're going to start playing with some of the turquoise. Yep, I got lots of cookies to sell. I think my daughter's she wants to do some door-to-door sales this weekend for Girl Scout cookies. So if you're in my neighborhood, you might see us knocking on the door. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Next week, we'll be back on Wednesday with another project for you. I don't know what yet, but I definitely want to get my hands on some of the new turquoise that we brought in, because we've got some really great stuff, and I think you guys are going to love it a whole lot. So have a good weekend, Deb and Tammy and Arlene. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you again next week. Bye-bye.